Hi again. Today's book is in the thriller category. However, it's a book about thrillers. It's about the whole genre, and it's called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang by Mike Ripley. And the subtitle of it is The Boom in British Thrillers from Casino Royale to The Eagle Has Landed. How Britain lost an empire, but its secret agents saved the world. And this book, it really is a delight to read. And it took me right back to my school days when I started reading this genre. And the book covers a lot of the books I read, a lot of the books I enjoyed, some of the books I didn't like. And he analyzes the whole genre in different ways, starting with the very term itself, thriller, because he makes it distinct from crime slash detective slash whodunits, which is a big genre in itself. Very, very well known British genre, the Agatha Christie, the locked room mysteries, that kind of thing, which are great, but it's not what we're talking about here. It's also, not strictly speaking, the pure adventure books written about people exploring or going off doing dangerous things in different parts of the world, although there is an overlap, and there's also an overlap in the crime as well. But these are thrillers, and they're usually about secret agents, whether working for a government, working privately, retired, being brought back, or accidentally embroiled in various plots and escapades. Now, the writers he talks about, one of the ways he analyzes it is the backgrounds of many of the writers. And a big section were journalists, particularly foreign correspondents, people like Ian Fleming, Frederick Forsyth. They fall into that category. And in a lot of ways, they are natural writers, their profession is writing. Then you have a lot of military people who've got a military background, and one that he mentions quite a bit is Barclay Mather, who served in the British Army, the Indian Army, and then back into the British Army, where he rose through the ranks and then was commissioned. And a lot of his books reflect the Indian background in the Hindu Kush and things like that, Kashmir and so on. So he puts a lot of that kind of spice into it. Then you've got people whose background was intelligence itself, spies, people like Ted Albury and Jean Le Carre, and they bring that to the table. So another way he analyzes it is the really big names in the business, and one of the big ones, the most prominent, is Alistair MacLean, whose work is probably not as well known now, but at one time when you went into a bookshop, there'd be a whole shelf just full of his titles, and they were kept in print for a long time. Of course, they're all available on Kindle again. And that's, by the way, it's a point that Mike Ripley makes. He tells you where you can get these books, whether they have been reprinted, whether they're available on Kindle and so on, especially some of the rare ones. And Alistair MacLean, he wrote, he was a school teacher, and he wrote many, many books, very prolific. And I think his first one was HMS Ulysses. And I read it. My dad and I used to read the same books, and he used to get them from the library and then he'd pass them on to me. And he had served in the Merchant Navy, and this was about a Royal Navy ship up on the Arctic convoys. And it was absolutely gripping. It took you there. Alistair MacLean had served on those ships, and the environment, the cold conditions and so on, battling the elements as well as the Germans, really, really good. It gripped me. Then, of course, he wrote many, many other books, and many of them were made into major films. For example, Guns of Navarone. Where Eagles Dare, Ice Station Zebra, and they were all really good films. And one of the reasons they were good films is they were great books to start with. And if you haven't read Alistair MacLean, he's certainly a guy I would recommend. Then another big major one who kind of overlapped with Alistair MacLean, came more up to date, was Jack Higgins. Jack Higgins, very prolific, and he wrote under different names, one being Harry Patterson. And I can remember picking a Harry Patterson book up somewhere overseas, um, and reading it, passing it on to Terry, and he enjoyed it as well. It was really good. And of course, as Jack Higgins, he became very, very famous. Again, with the movie connection, The Eagle Has Landed. Terrific book and film. Little bit based on a World War II film, Went the Day Well. Very, very similar plot, but certainly very, very well written. And then I was quite pleased to find that even some more obscure books, Delta 2. Delta 2 is a very similar book to the Day of the Jackal. It was about a plot against de Gaulle, but it was written from a different point of view. And there were things in it that, the guy seemed to have known his stuff. He was using some of the slang terms that at the time weren't really well known. For like the French Secret Service, he called it Stika. It was SDCE, but it was the slang pronunciation Stika, and he just transliterated it. And there was a thing where the Soviets were using radioactive isotopes to poison people. So they would set up a meeting, leave a guy in a room, and there'd be a section of the wall, they'd remove the barrier from it, and there'd be an isotope the other side, cesium-137, I think it was. Now, this was written a long time ago. It was in the 60s, and it was pretty spot on stuff at the time. Then another book that is rather obscure. A chap called Bob Langley, who used to be on daytime television, and he wrote a series of books. And the one that attracted my attention was The War of the Running Fox. And the plot was a group of Zulu scouts from South Africa, who are, of course, to a lot of writers, the racist enemy of South Africa, of Rhodesia, rather. And they mounted a mission in England to go up to the Lake District and acquire and steal a supply of plutonium that's hidden underwater in cooperation with the Provisional IRA. And a more ludicrous plot would be harder to imagine. And it was very, really badly written. It was very laborious. And, glad to say it is a very obscure book, and it didn't become very, very popular. But that's the kind of thing that people are quite free to write about. So, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Anybody who likes this genre, I would recommend it. It's very well written, very humorous in parts, and very interesting. He digs up facts about some of the writers and the plots and the stories. It goes into the backgrounds, into the minor characters, into the themes that link some of them in a series and so on. Very, very well. I really enjoyed it, and I certainly recommend it for everyone.